Hey guys, it's me Sonia. Today this video is gonna be a little dark because I don't know where my light is and I could turn the lights on in the room. There's already one on if you can't see the reflection. There's a light on, but it's not that bright. You can't even see it barely. Um but I don't want to turn the other lights on because I feel like it's gonna make weird shadows, so I'm not gonna do that. Anywho, so I missed Thursday's story time. I'm trying to be consistent with my videos and I just don't feel like I'm not making it. But I'm trying. I want to do a story time today. So this story time, I wasn't really sure what I want to talk about. I'm still kind of debating on whether or not it's worth telling. I want to tell you a story of my first cruise. Um, because initially I wanted to tell you the first time I went out of the country, but I can't remember the first time I went out of the country. I don't know if you guys know, but Michigan is rather close to Canada, and the city that I grew up in, Detroit, is literally a couple minutes from Canada. Like I would go to Canada on like almost every weekend thinking it was a part of the US. Like it was nothing. Like I would just go there like every weekend. So I can't really recall the first time that I went out of the country because Canada is a different country from the US. But I figure, I can even remember the first time I went on a cruise. So I'll tell you about that. So the year was, I don't know what year it was, but I think I was 17. I, I, I was, yeah. Nope, I was 16. I was 16, the first time I went on a cruise. Um, so, my family goes out of the country on a family trip every year. Now some family members go multiple times a year, but I only usually go once a year for the family trip. Now, I might go to Canada, like I said, I might just go to Canada to like go to a spa. I might go to Canada to get a massage. I might go to Canada to go to a museum or something like that. Like it's Canada. Like we just drive over, drive back. It's not a big deal. So, that's not what I consider a family trip. The family trip we went on this particular year was a cruise because I'd never been on the cruise. Like my other family members have been on cruises, but I didn't go with them. So I wanted to go on a cruise. So I think it was either for to celebrate my sister's graduation or my cousin's graduation. I can't remember whose graduation it was, but we are like, yeah, we should all go on a cruise this time. Um, Because normally we'll drive places or we'll fly there, but this time we want to go on a cruise. So the cruise they went on was what is it called? It was to the Caribbean, but they're like two sides. There's like a eastern side and a western side of the Caribbean or something like that. I think we went on the eastern side. I can't remember, but we went to we went to Mexico. We went to Belize. We went to the Cayman Islands. Um, we went to Honduras. Actually, I think Honduras was a mistake, but we went there. And where else did we go? That's all I think I can remember. I know the Cayman Islands for sure. I know Mexico for sure, and I know Belize for sure because I went snorkeling. I can't remember anywhere else. So there you go. Anywho, so that's where I went for the first one. Um, well, for my first cruise. So what happened? We decided where we're going and which cruise line we're gonna take. So I'm excited because it's my first time going on a cruise and I don't know what to expect. And at that time, I had just what? No, I'm thinking of the second one. This time, okay, if I was 16 at this cruise, because I've been on a couple cruises, so I'm trying to remember. If I was 16 at this cruise, I was still in high school. Oh, I do remember this one because okay, so this this one was like in it was a bad timing. So I told you the countries that I went to, right? So keep that in mind. A good portion of them speak or write or whatever in Spanish. I told you about Mexico, Belize, things of that sort. So, um, this is also one I'm not really explaining the story really, really well. You're probably like bored out of your mind right now, but Okay, I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. Okay, so it's me and my sister and my cousins and my aunts, my uncles, my other cousins, my mom. Who else came with us? My other aunt. It was a lot of us. Um, so we went on this cruise, right? Everybody's coming from different states, so we arrive at the location to dock the boat at different times. But we're just so happy because we're going on a cruise. Now, like I told you, my other family members they go on cruises all the time, like it's nothing. But this is my first time, so I was excited. Um, so I didn't know what to expect, and I was just giddy and all this stuff. Um, so we get on the cruise ship, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I think this was the one of the second or third times that this boat has went out. Like it was a very new boat. Like they didn't have too many cruises on it because it was literally like we're like the second or the third trip that boat has gone on. So everything was brand new, and it was so pretty. It was pretty. It was brand new. It was shiny. And it was huge. Like it was beautiful. It was one of the boats that had the um I don't know how to explain it. So it has the pool, and it has it like on like the one of the top decks. It has the pool, and then it has like the little area where you could you're not surfing, but it looks something like that. And it has like the little water slide, and it was just a really it was a new ship, and it was pretty, and it was my first time, so I was extra geeked. Um, so yeah, so I'm on the boat, and like always, I'm one of the younger people on the boat. One of the younger people in my family to go on the trip. So everybody's spread out. Like some of my family members are going, to the bar, getting their I think like if you pay like a $7 fee, you can get this giant cup, and you can fill it up as many times as you want while you're on the trip. Or you can get a smaller cup for like, I don't know. Oh no, no. I think the giant cup was like 15 or something like that. I don't know what the price was. It might have been more than that. And then the smaller cup was like $7 something. I don't know. But you could refill it with alcohol as much as you want any time of the day. It's great. Another thing that I like to mention, like in Mexico, I could drink at 16, so I enjoyed the trip. But anyhow, so I'm gonna try to get through this without rambling because I know you guys are like signing. Why don't you just get to the point? So here I am on the boat. It's brand spanking new. It's me on a new place. Like I want to explore. So because I was 16 at the time, my mom said I couldn't go exploring by myself, which sucked because I love exploring by myself. But I now understand, like now being a mom, I understand like you don't want your child exploring by themselves. But I was independent. I wanted to go by myself. Anywho, so I was assigned to either be with my sister or be with my younger cousin if we're going to go exploring. So me and my cousin, he was like, "Yeah, let's go exploring." So we would go exploring, and they have these clubs. So they have adult clubs on the ship. Like they have like five adult clubs on the ship, and they have like maybe two teenage clubs because I told you I was 16. So the teenage clubs, like the first we were there and nobody was there, but it's kind of like it's just like a really big room on the ship just for teenagers, and it has like video games, it has TV, like these large big screen TVs, it has like a dance floor, it has a kiddie bar, so it looks like a real bar, but it doesn't sell alcohol. Like they'll still make the drinks for you. So like you can get a margarita, you can get a daiquiri, but it's like a virgin daiquiri, a virgin margarita. And then of course they have pop and juice and stuff like that. But like you think like, yeah, I'm at a club, except it's for teenagers. Anyway, so we go to the teenage club. Nobody's there, but we're just like, okay, we keep walking around. We walk through the casino on the boat. We go into the gift shops. Like it's super expensive for no reason. It's like, why does this cost so freaking much? It's because you're on a cruise ship. Um, we're just exploring, and then finally we hit the food deck where all the food is. First off, they shouldn't allow 24/7 frozen yogurt like to anybody. They shouldn't do that because I had frozen yogurt at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Like me and my cousin, we were doing all nighters, like just ice cream on top of ice cream. Well, it's not ice cream, it's frozen yogurt, but it looks like ice cream. We had it on like ice cream cones. I had so many, it's ridiculous. But anyway, so we're on this food deck. And at first we don't know like what we're supposed to do. Like we're like, oh, is there a certain time that we eat? And they're like, no, you can eat any time of the day. And I'm like, any time of the day? And they're like, yeah, any time of the day. What do you want to eat? And I was like, I don't know. So they have buffets like everywhere. Now, if you've gone on a cruise, you're probably not surprised by this, but I was new at the cruise scene, so I was surprised. So they have buffets everywhere. And at every buffet was food from a different country. And I'm like, this is freaking awesome. So I go over here, I'm going to the Asian buffet, getting all this sushi and stuff like that. And then I'm like, oh, but I also want this. So I go over there and I get like a lobster platter, like crab, like I just got everything. And then I'm like, oh, but I want a burger. But I don't want just any burger. I want a veggie burger. So I go over there and get a burger. Like it's ridiculous. I have so much food. Like me and my cousin, like we have trays, trays of food just because we can have it. And let me tell you, I pigged out. I pigged all the way out. Let me tell you, I had plates upon plates upon plates of like spaghetti, like sushi. I'm telling you, like I had some stuff that I never even heard of, and I just ate it. Let me tell you, okay, I got to say this. I've had duck in the past. I've had duck, and I didn't like it. Maybe because it was cold. I don't know, maybe because it's raw. Yes, I've had raw duck as well as cold duck. Don't judge me. When people say try it, I say, I will at least once, sometimes, depending on what it is. Um, but let me tell you, this duck. So, okay, let me rewind. So, we have this deck where there's nothing but food on top of food 24/7, right? Well, okay, I'll take that back. It's food from like, let's say 5 a.m. to maybe 7 p.m. And then you have a dining room that's a level below, and that's where they have like classy food. All right. So, after me and my cousin stuff our face like all day, my family calls us on a walkie-talkie because like we're not together. We just have walkie-talkies in the same frequency and we talk to each other that way. They're like, okay, so you guys need to change your clothes because we're going to the formal dining room and they're gonna have food for you. And I'm like, but I ate all day. I'm not even hungry. They're like, well, we paid for this, so you're gonna eat. So we go back to the cabin, the little hotel room that we stay in. It's called a cabin, and we change our clothes, and then we go to the formal dining room. And this is where I discovered duck. Like before, I had duck, and it was disgusting, and I couldn't understand why anybody eat it. But like I said, I had it raw, which I'm not sure why they made it raw. They made it like sushi, so I didn't like that. Even though I like sushi, I didn't like the raw duck. And then they made it like they made it like deli meat, like it was cold, and I just didn't like it. But let me tell you, they had this real French fancy thing going on, and I didn't know what it was. So I asked the waiter, like, "Hey, um, what is this?" And he's like, "Oh, it's duck." I'm like, I had duck before. I don't like it. He's like, oh no, but it's really good. I'm like, are you sure? Because this guy was from somewhere. I don't know where he was from. Like every server at the tables in the formal dining room was from a different country. So I'm like, maybe he's never had duck or, something like that. Like he doesn't know how bad duck tastes. But he's like, no, it's really good. I got a couple of opinions from people at the table. They're like, yeah, I think this duck is good. I had this at this restaurant, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll try it. Because after all, I'm going to be here for 6 more days. I might as well get used to some duck. So let me tell you, first off, first off, they feed me a bunch of bread, which is bad. I had so much butter, bread, the bread was freaking delicious. Like, first off, that's where they got me. Then they bring out this duck, right? Well, first they bring out the appetizer. I don't know what that. I do know what the appetizers were. So I had escargot for the first time as well on the cruise. I've been to restaurants where they gave me escargot, and I'm just like, oh no, thank you, because usually I'm there with somebody else and they order for me because I don't know what to order. Like I just don't know. I'm not a fancy eater. Like let me just say that I'm not a fancy eater. So when I'm at these places, I usually have somebody order for me because I don't know what to order. So the appetizer was escargot, and I'm like, so you're telling me I'm gonna have to eat snails? And they're like, you don't have to eat it, but you should try it because we're on a cruise and it's your first time. You might as well try as much as you can because once we get off this cruise, all this food's gonna be super expensive if you want to eat it later. So I'm like, okay, I'll try some escargot. Let me tell you, I put my fork in there. The butter started to drip off. Put it in my mouth. And I'm like, these taste like mushrooms, like legit mushrooms. I've been avoiding escargot. You know how many times people order escargot for me, and I'm like, no, I don't want any escargot. It smells. It tastes like mushroom. Like literally, it looks like mushrooms. It looks like mushrooms in a shell, and it's buttered. It's like eating buttered mushrooms. Nobody told me. I don't know if I would pay for escargot because it's buttered mushrooms, but I mean, it's not buttered mushrooms. Clearly, it's a snail, but they put a bunch of butter on it, and the texture is like a mushroom. The color is like a mushroom. It might as well be a mushroom. Just put it out there. Anyhow, so I'm eating this escargot. I'm like, this is good. So my sister's like, you want mine? I'm like, girl, you don't have to ask me twice. So I eat her escargot. And my cousin's like, yeah, I don't really want all this. I had a couple. And I'm like, I'll take yours too. But here I am, filled with bread and escargot. And here this man comes with some duck. And I'm like, I'm kind of full. I've been eating all day. And I'm not really a fan of duck anyway, but my family encourages me, yeah, eat the duck. So I'm like, okay, fine, I eat the duck. I cut a tiny little piece because I don't think I'm gonna like it. I eat it, and I'm like, hmm, hmm, this is kind of savory. So I cut a little more, and I cut a little more. Next thing you know, half of it's gone, and I'm full because I've been eating all day. I had a bunch of bread. I ate everybody's escargot. And I'm full. Like I cannot eat another bite, but I still have half of this duck left, and it's so delicious. Like I wish I could eat it over and over again. But as you know, in a formal dining setting, like when most of the table's done eating, they usually come to pick up your plate. So you're supposed to arrange your silverware in a way that says, "Hey, I'm done eating," or "Hey, I'm resting," or whatever, whatever. And I didn't feel like doing that. I'm like, I'm still eating. Clearly, I'm still eating, even though I can't eat anymore. And so everybody finished eating, and I'm still trying to get this duck down because it's delicious, but I'm full, so I'm forcing myself to eat it, and I feel like I gotta throw up because I'm so full, but I don't want to not eat it because it was so delicious. They came and took my plate, and I was so mad. I was so mad. Like no, because first I was gonna be ratchet. Well, I was ratchet. I tried to be ratchet, and I said, "Hey, can I get a doggy bag?" They're like, "No." So what are you gonna do with the rest of my duck? Cause what are you gonna do with it? And they're like, we're just gonna throw it away. Well, why can't you give me a doggy bag? Like honestly, if I could do it over again, I would have snuck that duck. I would have snuck it. I would have put it in my little cloth napkin, put it in my bra or something. I know that's ratchet, but that duck was delicious, and they just threw it away. Anyhow, so that was my first day. That was my first day on the cruise. And I remember that out of all the days there, because I can't remember the other ones, are kind of a blur. But that first day, I had me some duck and escargot, and I ate like my life depended on it. Like I ate so much. They should have named a frozen yogurt machine after me because I ate so much. Like I literally got up early almost every morning to eat because they were feeding me. Yes. I got up early to eat. I stayed up late to eat. I was up eating frozen yogurt with my cousin. We were on the deck. Like when nobody else is out on the deck, they have like these sunbathing chairs. We were up there two handing the frozen yogurt, like frozen yogurt in this hand, frozen yogurt in that hand. He had the same. I had a strawberry one and a chocolate one. I know that because it was a good day. So we're up there like 3 a.m. Nobody else is out there. Like the staff was cleaning. Like, why don't you guys go to sleep? But I realized they do this 24/7. But Everybody was asleep except for the staff. They were cleaning up, and me and my cousin were just up there downing the frozen yogurts. Like they should have named a machine after us. Um, and it's very clear to say that I did gain some weight on that trip, but I was still skinny at the end of the day. I can't say that now, but I gained some weight on that trip, and yeah. What else did I want to tell you about my trip? It's been 20 minutes. Um, let's see. So I went to Mexico for the first time, and that's great. I've been wanting to go to Mexico since I saw Desperado. I just assumed Mexico was like this super adventurous place. Like at any moment, anything could happen. And I mean, it was okay. It was hot. It was extremely hot. I'm from Michigan. It snows here. It's freezing here. Like when the snow finally thaws out, like it gets warm, but it doesn't get Mexico warm. Like it was humid and hot, and the sun was just like baking us. It was so hot. Like we stepped off the boat, and it was so hot, like so hot. Anyway, so we go to this little area. It's like an excursion, and they take us to a beach. And like on one side of the beach, on one side is the beach that's like off the ocean. And on the other side is a pool. So I don't do oceans right there because I don't like salt water. So I went to the beach side, and they're like, "Oh, would you like a drink?" And I'm like, "Oh no, I'm okay." They're like, "Oh, it's complimentary." And I was always told like, "Don't drink the water in Mexico." But they're like, "Oh, but the ice and the margarita is fine." And yeah, so I got me a margarita, and I was like, "Oh, this has alcohol in it." They're like, "Oh, you can drink it here." And I'm like, "What?" So even though I don't like the taste of alcohol, I took it upon myself to get as many margaritas as possible. And when I say I was tipsy, I was drunk. I'm not even playing. I wasn't tipsy. I was drunk. I was drunk. And they had these hammocks, so like it was burning up. It was super hot outside. They kept bringing margaritas, like it didn't stop. Like every time you turned around, they had a new margarita in the hand. They actually had it on this platter, so they made the margaritas, put it on the platter. Anybody that walked by would take a margarita, and they just kept bringing them out like that. So when I'm laying down in the hammock, I'm just laying there in the hammock, like rocking back and forth in the hot sun, and they had like these little shade things. I don't know what it's called. I can't think of it. You'll usually see them on your patio. I can't remember what they're called though. So I'm just sitting there swinging in my hammock, and later come by. Would you like another margarita? Yes, I like one. So I'm drinking it. Like first off, it's cold and it's super hot out there, so it's cooling me down. But then also it's alcohol, and then also it's strawberry. So I'm like, I love this. So I got drunk. I did at 16 because it was legal in Mexico. And you may say, well, where were your parents? Where are your aunts and uncles? That's a great question. That's a great question. That is a great question. I was there with my cousins and my sister. I'm sure my aunts and uncles and my mom was around somewhere. I just don't know where. I can't remember where they were. I know they're off the boat. They got off the boat when I got off the boat. But as far as that incident where I'm just swinging in the hammock enjoying the margaritas, I don't know where they were. But it was delicious. It was delicious. It was great. And I will probably never forget that moment of just chilling in Mexico. Like I always wanted to go to Mexico, and I don't even want to say that. I want to say that I always wanted to swing in a hammock drinking nice alcoholic beverages. I don't know. I felt like I was being waited on. It was just great. Um, where else did we go? So we also went to the Cayman Islands. I told you guys that. And the Cayman Islands were hotter than Mexico. Now you may be saying, like, how hot was Mexico? Mexico was hot. Like I felt like I was melting. Like as soon as we stepped off of the air conditioned boat, I began to sweat, like literally, like beads of sweat, like everywhere, just like everywhere. Like they were like, make sure you bring a water bottle with you and all this stuff. Like, what do you mean a water bottle? Like my water bottle most likely evaporated. It was just so hot. Yeah, so the Cayman Islands were hot, and so we went there, and we are like, oh look, there are black people here. It was great. It was great. There weren't too many black people on the cruise with us. So whenever we saw black people, we were like excited. So when we went to Mexico, of course, we saw the brown Mexicans. But it wasn't like in the Cayman Islands. We were like, oh, black people. It was fun. So we walked around a little bit. We saw the different restaurants. They had the little stores. We bought some stuff. But it was when I say it was hot, goodness, what is it called? They called the place Little Hell or something like that because they knew it was so hot. Like it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous, and we went in the summertime. It was just ridiculously hot. Um, but yeah, it was fun. And it was pretty, and it was nice to learn some of the history there. And then what else did we do? We started doing excursions. So when we were in what's the Cayman Islands? There's a country that attaches to Honduras. Is that Belize? I want to look it up so I don't sound ignorant. I can't remember where it was. It was some country that attached to Belize. I'm gonna look it up because I don't want to sound super ignorant like I am, but you guys need to know that. Let me see. And it's a country that's really, yeah. I don't know how we drove from there. I'm looking at the map now. Okay, yeah. So we were in Belize, right? Um, we were in Belize doing an excursion. So excursion is just like an activity outside of the cruise. So we got off the cruise boat because every time we go to another country, you have to get on the boat, drive to the country, get off. So sorry, my head is itching. I need to wash my hair. My scalp is dry too, so that doesn't help. Um, so we're in Belize. We go on an excursion. So we basically get off this large cruise boat to get into this really small little. I don't even know if you can call it a boat. I would say a canoe. I don't know. But we get into this boat, and they take us into the middle of nowhere. Literally, like we're surrounded by nothing but water. The cruise boat that we came on is no longer in sight. Like we're just so far out in the middle of nowhere, and there's no other boats around us. And we're in our swimsuits because we're going snorkeling off the shores of Belize. Um, yeah, and he's like, "There's sharks in this water, so if you see one, what does he do?" He says something like this. Like I'm like, dude, you don't tell people that before we go in shark infested water. But the water's pretty, and it was clear. Um, and it tastes like salt water. I don't like salt water. I don't. It tastes like salt. I don't like the smell. I don't like the taste. I don't like anything. But I did hear that salt water helps your hair grow. It nourishes your scalp. Helps your hair retain moisture so it doesn't break off or something like that. Like I believe it, but it's still like the taste is disgusting. Anyhow, so we go snorkeling. When I say me, I mean my family. Not all of us go snorkeling. A good chunk of us, maybe five of us go snorkeling, and we're in the middle of nowhere, you know, in the ocean. And so, all my life, I mentioned this, like, at certain points in my life, I had identity issues. I'll say that. At one point in my life, I told you I watched Desperado and I wanted to go to Mexico because I was in love with Antonio Banderas. And I wasn't sure if he's Mexican or not, but that movie is taking place in Mexico. So I said, I just farted. I'm sorry. I got gas. So I thought Mexico had really pretty men. But then when I went to Belize, all of them look like models, even the old ones. So this guy, he's like, "Do you know how to swim?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, well, I'll just be swimming next to you, whatever, whatever." I'm like, "Okay, fine." So I'm doing the dead man's float, looking at these little coral reefs and the fishes and stuff like that. And he taps me, and I get scared because I think he's a shark. So I freak out and I get all this nasty salt water in my mouth. And he's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Breathe, breathe, breathe." And I'm like, "I'm okay." But he looked like an angel. And after I realized that I wasn't dying and he wasn't a shark, he looked like an angel because, like, the sun, I told you, the sun was shining like ridiculously. It was super sunny, super hot. And then there's him trying to save me. I'm thinking he's a shark or whatever. Um, yeah. Anywho, so we're gonna fast forward. So we're still in Bailey's. We get back on the boat. We change. Well, no, we don't change into clothes. I don't know what. No. Oh, okay. So this is what happened. We get back onto the boat. We're in our swimsuits, but because it's so hot and humid, like we dry off. Our next excursion is to take a tour of Bailey's, but somehow we end up in the mountains, right? And we're in Honduras. Um, and it's very clear that we're no longer in the tourist area because there's no more tourists and we can't see the boat and we're in the mountains and every store we pass has like a guy with like a semi-automatic gun or something like that and like really big I won't say shanks. They're not shanks. What are those big knives called? Like the ones that you'll see in like what's that movie called? Crocodile Dundee, like the big long knives. They had those. They had machetes. Are those called machetes? I think machetes and the big guns. So it's clear that we're no longer in Honduras. We're no longer in Belize. We're in Honduras. So that's why I had to look at the map because I couldn't believe that we actually went that far. Anyway, so we were there, and they take us up into these mountains, and it has the most amazing view I've ever seen ever. Like honestly, I thought we were in Africa based on the view because like here we are, we're at the top of the mountain, right? And you look down and like you see these hills, like you kind of see these layers of land that has like grass, right? And trees, but it's like they're almost perfectly like positioned so you can look over them and like and then like you see these people's homes, but like the trees are there too, so it's kind of like I don't know, it's kind of surreal. Like if somebody said, "Oh, you're now in Ghana," I'd be like, "Wow!" like I was like I know that I was in Belize, Honduras, or whatever, but like the view, like I would never like if somebody said this is what this country looked like. I'd be like, I wouldn't think that. Like it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. And there were brown people everywhere. The only reason that I couldn't go into my fantasy world of like, oh, we're in Africa is because they spoke Spanish. You know, because I saw all these brown people with like wraps on and like I don't know, beautiful traditional clothes on. But we weren't in Africa. We were in Honduras or Belize or wherever. I know that we did go to Honduras. Like I don't know if we drove into Honduras to go back to Belize. Like I don't know if there's a road that does that, but I know for sure that we did go to Honduras for a second. Anyhow, so it was beautiful and I took pictures and I'm a little sad that my pictures got messed up. The most of the pictures got messed up on my first computer or my first laptop. Um, I got a virus or something like that, and I couldn't get my pictures off. And the ones that I could save, they weren't that beautiful. And then on my second computer, I dropped it so it wouldn't turn on, so I couldn't get those pictures. So the only pictures that I had were the ones that I posted to Facebook. And I don't have that account anymore, so I don't have the pictures anymore. And I don't know how to get into the account because I don't know the email address they use, so that kind of sucks. But It was so beautiful. Like I'm a little scared. I'm a little scared to go there now. Because honestly, I'm not even sure if that excursion was safe. Because, like I said, we left the tourist area. We went into the mountains. Like there was no cell phone reception, and even if we did have reception, we didn't have a card to call back to America or anywhere, so we couldn't use it anyway. Um, it was a very rural area. Like there was the city with people and buildings that looked familiar to the U.S. And then as we kept driving, it was clear that we weren't in the U.S. Like they had Ben and Jerry's. They had like what is it called? What are the stores called? Um, they had like a Rolex store. They had Louis Vuitton stores. Like I don't know why they would have this there. Not saying that they can't have it there. I'm just saying, we had these stores in the U.S. Why would somebody from the U.S. want to come specifically to this country to buy this? But whatever. They had stores and buildings like America, but as you left the tourist area, you started to see we're not in the U.S. Like the houses were designed differently. The houses were designed for floods. The houses were designed for home gardening and things of that sort. And then as you kept going, like there were a bunch of hills, and you stopped seeing stuff in English. Like in the tourist area, you saw a bunch of stuff in English. As you drove out, you just see stuff in English too much. But the view, that view was beautiful. I'm so mad that I lost those pictures. The view was beautiful, beautiful, and the people were beautiful too. They were so beautiful. They were so beautiful. Like I don't know if it's the sunshine. I don't know if it's what they ate, but they were beautiful. Even the ugly people were beautiful, and I didn't see any ugly people. Anyhow, so that was Belize. Um, and so where else did we go? We went somewhere else where they spoke a bunch of Spanish. And towards the what was it? Was it the middle of not the middle of the vacation, but towards the end, we went somewhere, and I wasn't gonna get off the boat, but I said I'll get off the boat, and I got off the boat, and I saw Michael Jackson's face everywhere. He was on different TV screens in stores. He was in the newspapers, and I was like, they must really love Michael Jackson because I couldn't understand anything. It was all in Spanish. So they would be speaking Spanish, and then all of a sudden I hear Michael Jackson, and then I keep speaking Spanish, and I'm like, they must really like Michael Jackson here. Like I didn't know he was that popular. And then I get on the boat, and of course the TV is in Spanish, and I had to look around for the English channels, and I found out Michael Jackson died. Now I don't mention it too much, but I used to love me some Michael Jackson. Now that he's dead, I don't love him as much. I tend not to be close to things that die. Like I just don't want to be associated. But I used to love me some Michael Jackson. Love him, love him. I'm talking about I had his greatest hits before like it was cool to have his greatest hits. I listened to his CDs. I watched his music videos. I watched his greatest hits album, his greatest hits concerts. I had his concerts on DVD. Like I love me some Michael Jackson. I watch him all the time. I talk about him all the time. I defended him like anytime somebody said something bad about Michael Jackson, I was like, what? Like those are fighting words. Like so that's how I found out he died. I finally found the English version of the news that everybody was saying, and he died. And I was like, oh no. And that kind of ruined my vacation, but it was freaking awesome before then. It was awesome. I got so much jewelry. Oh, also, where was I? Um, so before the cruise, I didn't really wrap my hair too much. I did the traditional. I'm about to go to sleep, wrap my hair, but I didn't wear like fashion wraps or Afro wraps. That's what I call them, Afro wraps. But when I went on the cruise, we would go to these islands, and these women would greet us, and they'd be like, "Oh, would you like whatever, whatever?" Because they, of course, they're selling jewelry and stuff like that. I'm like, "No, that's okay." And I saw this woman wrap her hair, and I said, "That is beautiful." They're like, "Oh, well, I sell these wraps," and I'm like, "I don't know how to wrap my hair." So she taught me how to wrap my hair, and I'm like, "Oh, this is cute." And then she said, "You can also wear it as a top. You can also wear it as a dress. You can also wear it as a skirt." And I'm like, "This is what I needed all my life. Like I've been looking for it, but I couldn't find it." So I guess you would say I found my Afrocentric ways from going to the different islands that I gone to, because they embrace their African roots, whereas in America we didn't embrace it, at least not at that time. I mean, like some people did, but for the most part, it was frowned upon, and then of course, later on, people started to think it was trendy to love yourself, love your roots, wear natural hair, wrap your hair, stuff like that. But I discovered it on the cruise, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So that's when I started buying wraps, and then on the cruises previous to that, I would buy more wraps, and then I found out like I can go to African stores and buy them here, and then I also found out I can just go to Joann Fabrics and buy fabric, and then I also find out that you can buy in bulk the fabric that they use to wrap their hair, and I'm like, well, online beat it. So anyway, so that's my cruise experience. I don't know if it was worth listening to or not, but I hope you enjoyed it because I enjoyed telling you. Like, let me tell you, I need to find somebody who knows how to make some duck. I need to eat some duck. I think it was glazed honey duck or so. Oh my goodness, it was so good, so good. I wish I could just like if God said, "Hey, what day would you like to go back to in your life?" I mean, I don't know if I would make that one the one because there are other days that I would like to relive, but that was a good day. It's a good day. Anywho, thank you guys for watching, and I will try to be more consistent on my videos. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.